Hello again, and welcome to the St. Louis Blues Hockey Legends Podcast. Tom Calhoun here to shine a light on the stories of those instrumental in blues history. The Blues Legends Podcast is presented by Sarah Honda, O'Fallon, Illinois. Check out all the great deals and their 618 Sarah Bucks offer at sarahhondaofallon.com. And be sure to mention you heard it on Blues Hockey Legends Podcast. On this episode, we reconnect with the longtime fan favorite National Anthem performer Charles Glenn. You'll remember that Charles stepped away from his regular appearances after the Stanley Cup run in 2019, citing health concerns and his busy schedule performing with his band. We'll find out how he's doing and reminisce about his days bringing down the house with his iconic rendition of the Star Spangled Banner. Stick around, we'll get started in 60 seconds.
When it's time to find your next car, what's changed in your life? What's driving you to start the process? What are you really looking for? These are the questions we're asking at Sarah Honda. We believe in real communication, real problem solving, and trustworthy long-term relationships with our customers. We're part of your community, and we want you to be part of ours. At Sarah Honda, the experience drives everything. You've got a lot going on in life, and you depend on your car to get you to places you need to be. So when it's time for maintenance or repair, we know you need it done fast and done right. Convenience and quality customer service with team members you can trust. That's what you're looking for. We'll get you safely back on the road and back to your busy life. At Sarah Honda, the experience drives everything.
And on this episode of the Blues Hockey Legends Podcast, we are thrilled to have the great Charles Glenn with us on this episode. Charles, you're looking great, and thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you, Mr. Calhoun. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be on.
Well, I don't know about that, but please call me Tom the rest of the way, and the honor is definitely mine and that of our listeners for this podcast. So thank you for giving us a piece of your time. First of all, though, Charles, I want to thank you for singing the anthem at the Gateway Grizzlies game back in May. It was opening night. They made it Tom Calhoun bobblehead night, and you made it very special.
Fun.
Yeah, you made it very special by singing the anthem as I started my final season doing PA for the Grizzlies, and everybody there was thrilled to have Charles sing the anthem. So thanks again for that. Thank you.
I had a great time.
It was a good night. It was really a good night, and you made it extra special. So let's talk about the early days of Charles Glenn's life. Where were you born? Give us a little family background about you as a youngster.
Okay. I was born in Fort Lewis, Washington. My father was in the Army. And my grandmother moved me to St. Louis from Fort Lewis. And I was here until 1962 and moved to Oakland, California. And I stayed in Oakland, California till 1967. And moved in with my aunt and uncle in Florissant. And that's when we heard the first broadcast of the St. Louis Blues on the radio.
There you go.
My uncle Grover was a big fan. And he was thrilled we had hockey in St. Louis. So we heard every game. I went to McClure High School. I was on the soccer team. Let's put it this way. I had a uniform. I had a uniform.
Sounds like my athletic career, too.
You know what's up. And I was mostly involved in drama and music. And then I went to Florissant Valley for a couple of years. And then I moved to California after playing music in St. Louis, trying to do it full time here and on the road. I decided to move to California back in, here we go, 1986.
Okay.
1986. And I worked in a hospital during the day, and I played music at night. And I worked about 5 days a week playing music. So it was a lot of fun, and I didn't have to play for free, which was good.
Hmm.
And I met a bunch of jazz musicians, bunch of rock musicians that play jazz, and it was really an experience. It was really an experience. And then I moved back to St. Louis in 19, 1990, 1997.
Okay.
I wanted to raise my daughter, so I moved here, and I drove a bus for a while. Drove a bus during the day and played music at night.
Well,
Joe for Bi-State,
you
and
did a lot of things to keep that musical dream alive, didn't you?
you have to do what you got to do, and I don't, I didn't mind working. I really didn't, as long as we were making enough money to be comfortable.
Right. Yeah.
So, so I was playing music for a while, and I still am really. But I got a phone call from Jill Hahn. She worked for the Blues. In 2000, she called me in 2000, and she said, "You need to come and audition for the Blues." Okay, I will. She said, "But don't tell anybody because you were not invited. I'm just leading you into it. Don't tell them who told you." Well, it's too late now. I'm telling. So I went and I auditioned for the Blues, and first person that came up was promoter, and he said, "How many people here?" And it was like 30 singers sitting in along the ice. "How many singers do not know the Canadian anthem? Raise your hand." And I had just been to Canada like 3 weeks before, and half of them raised their hand. He said, "Okay, you can leave."
Wow.
Okay, so I sat there, and I was like the eighth singer to sing. And when it was my turn, I walked on the ice, and I got these words out. "Oh, say, can you see?" The microphone went out.
Oh, my goodness.
And so I just kept singing. I just sang louder. So Chris Froome came up to me and he goes, "Thank you." I said, "Do you want me to sing the Canadian anthem?" He goes, "No, you can go now." I said, "Okay." I blew that audition.
Uh,
And then they called me like 3 weeks later, and they said, "Can you do one of our games?" I said, "Well, sure." And this kept going on, and they kept winning.
yeah.
They won like 16 games in a row. And then I said, "Well, I guess you're going to be here for a while." And the jinx was Fox Sports from Pittsburgh interviewed me because they heard about the streak.
Ah,
And
this
they
must
said,
have been in the early 2000s, huh, Charles? When we had
"Yes,
those
it was.
really good teams. Yeah.
Yes, it was. It was the early 2000s." And he said, "Why do they win when you sing?" I said, "Because they're good." I didn't want to say it was because of me. He goes, "Okay, we're going to air this, but we're going to break this jinx." And sure enough, they did.
Yeah.
And I thought it was over. And then 19 more years.
Yeah, you were too good for it to end that way. So let's talk
Thank
a
you.
little bit about a few other things. Thanks for that history lesson, by the way. I was going to get around to that, but you beat me to it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so one of the reasons you cited for stepping away from doing the blues regular gig, you said you were dealing with some health issues. How are you doing? You look great.
I'm doing okay. Some days are better than others, but today is a very good day.
Hmm.
Today is a very good day. I have multiple sclerosis, and it's not progressing as fast as it was at first, but it is progressing. I'm still able to walk. My exercise is walking my dog at 2 in the morning. Um, she's a big girl, so if I get
That-
tired, she pulls me.
That'll be
And
some. Yeah.
but it keeps my legs moving, and that's the most important thing.
Mhm.
Um, but it's slowly progressing, but we're dealing with it.
Yeah, we
We're
see you
dealing with it.
performing before a game or two here and there. And you're able to get through a performance really well. So you're still sounding great. I
Well,
guess it
thank
hasn't
you.
affected the voice.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Not yet.
You know, your bio says, Charles, that you're the son of an accomplished opera singer. Tell us a little bit about that.
My mother was an opera singer. She she went to Boston University, and then she did some off Broadway things in the 50s and early 60s, and then she moved to St. Louis from Boston, and she did a lot of stuff from the Muni for the
Oh,
Muni.
hmm.
She was in Showboat. She was in Finian's Rainbow. She was in a few other performances, but she did quite a bit of work at the Muni. And when she wasn't doing that, she was doing opera like Madame Butterfly, and she was doing quite a few other promotion productions. She did that for years.
Hmm. Well, come by it naturally then, obviously, huh?
Well, no, it took some work. Trust
Yeah,
me.
it took some work too. We get that. So, Charles, do you remember, were you a hockey fan before you started singing for the Blues, or did that just happen after you started singing for the
I
Blues?
liked hockey. I would watch it on Channel 11 when they
Hmm.
were in the barn. And it's exciting, but I never went to a hockey game until I did a National Anthem contest on sports radio in St. Louis. Charlie Tunas,
Sure.
and I won that. And he says, "Okay, here, take 2 tickets to see Chicago against St. Louis." So I went to the barn. That was my first hockey game,
Hmm.
and that was 1998, I believe. And I couldn't believe how wild it was. The game was wild, but the it was against Chicago.
Yeah.
There were more fights in the stands than there were on the ice.
Yeah,
And,
the
and
good old days.
yeah, and I fell in love with it immediately.
Yeah, it
And
was.
that was the first time I saw one live.
Hmm. So you weren't necessarily a fan, but you were aware of it, and you loved it from the get-go. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but as a sunken fan, nah, not until I started singing the anthem.
Hmm.
Because they would tell me, um, why don't you stay for the games? And this was after 4 games, and I said, it's hockey. I'm not familiar with the rules, and they said, well, we got you tickets. Sit down and watch the game. So I sat and watched the whole game, and it was against Philadelphia, and I fell in love all over. I was hooked right after that game. I
Hmm.
was hooked. And then later on, I brought my daughter with me. She was a little girl. And she says, Daddy, I don't like hockey. I like football. I said, just watch this. She ended up being a Blues Crew girl.
Oh yeah.
She fell in love with it.
Yeah,
So
good for her.
it's addictive.
Yes, it is. I mean, you it's hard to explain to people who haven't been to a hockey game, a pro hockey game, how much better it is in person too than seeing it on television. I mean, they do a lot better job with the TV broadcast these days, but it's still a much more enjoyable experience being there in person with the sound of the skates on the ice and the guys crashing up against the boards and so forth.
Yeah, when I heard that first crash, it scared me to death. I didn't know if they were all right or not, but it's the
Some
north.
are, some aren't. Yeah. So you and your group, let's talk about the Stanley Cup run a little bit.
All right.
You guys got to play on the stage under the arch on the day of the Stanley Cup parade, and I have a picture that I cherish that was taken with you and I, with our backs to a crowd of 300,000, 500,000 people, whatever the estimate was,
It was a whole lot.
officially, a whole lot of people. And we had ourselves one heck of a day that day. And
That
tell us
was
some of
so
your
much fun.
tell us some of your thoughts about that day.
Well, it was raining before it started, and the sound crew was like, "I don't know if we're going to be able to start on time." I said, "We're going to be able to start on time. I'm not really worried. Look at all these people."
Hmm.
And so we started playing. It stopped. It stopped raining. And then when the parade came to the stage and all the players were coming on the stage and everybody was going crazy. That was bigger than any concert I ever played.
Hmm.
It was bigger than the Super Bowl party that I played. And it was much bigger. And everybody was wild, but they weren't unruly.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't on. Everybody had a can of beer. But Jason Pippy called me up and he says, can you put together a band for the end of the parade under the arch?" And I said, "Of course I can." I said, "How many people can I hire?" He goes, "As many as you want."
Wow.
So I called the best musicians I could possibly get. One of my singers, I used to sing with her mother. Well, both of them were on the stage. And so it ended up, my boss was saying, "Hey, you didn't ask me to play." I said, "Well, come on." So he played trumpet. Well, we had a bunch of people on stage
You
and
did.
they
Yeah.
were we had a great time.
And a great group. You played some
Oh,
doggone good
thank
music
you.
too.
Thank
So
you.
you and I, as a result of that Stanley Cup run, have a Stanley Cup ring to show everybody and show off a little bit. And the owners didn't really have to do that, but they knew who was important to the minds of the fans. And so you and I can compare rings and show them off once in a while. Tom Stillman and Chris Zimmerman and the people who run the team really took care of us, didn't they?
They sure did. They treated us like royalty. You know, they called me up and they said, "Well, come down to the arena to get sized." I said, "For what?" They said, "A Stanley Cup ring." And I said, "Well, I got to make a stop first." Picked up my wife. I said, "We're going downtown to get a Stanley Cup ring," and she was thrilled. She
Mm,
was thrilled, and I I don't wear it all the time. It's more of a trophy,
yeah,
but
there you go. I was
yeah, look,
I was gonna compare mine with yours, but it looks pretty darn similar.
I think we got the same jeweler.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. So let's move along a little bit. You handed the baton off for the regular anthem singer of the Blues 2, the wonderfully talented Pershard Owens. Did you have any advice for him when they picked him to be the regular guy?
Well, I heard him a couple of times before, so I knew he could do the job because he's powerful and he handles it. I think he handles it with class. So he asked me, he said, "Do you have any advice?" I said, "Be yourself. Just be yourself. It's an anthem and not a show.
There you go.
If they want to sing with you, let them, but it is an anthem, not a show. And what you're doing is good. So just keep doing what you're doing." And every once in a while, we'll talk, and he's very gracious. Um, we talk about certain, well, certain, of course, certain people that sing the anthem, not necessarily in St. Louis, but certain games and
Mhm.
their unique style of singing. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
but I think he's a great guy,
I do too,
and he does a great job.
I think so. And there's a fine line, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, between honoring the U.S. properly with the anthem and putting too much of your own spin on it. You see that all the time where people get their chance in the spotlight and they have to make some almost a crazy show out of it. And that just bugs me. I don't know if it bugs you.
Oh yeah. Sometimes they forget that it is an anthem, and they want to make it a showcase, like I was talking to Bashard about. And then they'll start too high, and there's no escaping when you start too high,
Because you got to go
you
way
know.
higher before it's over, right?
And they don't think about it, and then they put all this,
Yeah.
and by the time you finish all that, and when you get to the high note at the very end, you're lost.
Hmm.
And I've seen people crash on major stages in in sports trying to outsing the anthem.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. And, once back at the old arena, we had a young lady, and I don't want to get too specific because I might embarrass her if she heard this, but she just came apart. She had just won a beauty contest and she forgot lyrics. The melody was all off. I mean, it can be really a disaster if you're not prepared.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
man, I thought this was an easy song. And before I did the blues, I did a couple of Cardinal games.
Hmm.
First Cardinal game, it was against the Giants and Barry Bonds, and they lost. But I said, this is easy. And the next time we did against the Braves, David Justice.
Hmm.
And I thought I would show my high note. And I went, and the home of the brave. But when I went there, it was like, oh, it started wobbling. And they're like, we will never see you again. And I understood. But then they called me back for the playoffs the last time the Cardinals were in the playoffs. So short memory is good. But you cannot overdress it. It's too hard a song to overdress. It really is.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is.
The other thing that bugs me, and I've listened to thousands of anthems over the years because I've been at it for so long and been involved with sports for so long, I pay attention to the pronunciation of the words in the anthem. And one word gets botched up on a regular basis, perilous, through the perilous night. And people say perilous and perilous, and it's Perilous, perilous.
Right.
And, uh, you know, it's not that hard if you know the meaning of the word. And I guess people just don't study it enough.
No, no, they don't. They don't, you know.
All right. Well,
And if
let's.
you knew the story, and I'm sure you do, the story of the national anthem, it was it was a bar song, but it was written on a prison ship,
Right.
you know. It was written on a prison ship in the middle of a battle. After the battle was over, the flag was still there.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Francis Scott Key.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite memory singing anthems for games? You sang for the Rams Giants game, I know, a few weeks after 9/11. That's a
Yes,
football game. Yeah.
that was. I got choked up over that
Mm.
because there was a lot of memories still of 9/11, and we were the first game to be played nationally, I believe. That's why they showed it. Plus, it was against the Giants.
Mhm.
I got choked up over that. Uh, the sixth game of the Stanley Cup playoffs against Boston. That was real heavy. That was real heavy because I said I probably won't sing this anymore because I announced my retirement.
I remember that.
And it was not a very easy night because, my legs were bothering me. So I had to get that out of my mind. No pain. Just put everything we have into it. And that was moving to me because I tried to sing it the best way I could. Because I didn't know we were going to sing it. I didn't, well, number one, I thought we would win the cup in game 6, and we did not. Had to go to Boston. So I called up Todd Agili, the anthem singer in Boston.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, man, good luck, but we're coming. We are coming.
Yeah.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I know the PA announcer up in Boston, Jake Zimmer, and we went back and forth a little bit about that too.
Oh, yeah.
So, on that game 6 that you're talking about, we rehearsed the Stanley Cup presentation ceremony that afternoon. They called all of us game presentation people in early that day so we could go through the Stanley Cup being brought out onto the ice and the whole ceremony that they would have had to go through if the Blues had won that night. So I didn't get to perform, but you did. So you put together a great group to perform at the Winter Classic back in 2017 also. And folks, do yourself a favor and go on YouTube and see Charles' performance with a nice singing group behind him and great instrumentals of Mustang Sally. That was a heck of a show.
Thank you. Thank you. We had a good time doing it. We really did. I was trying to help. I got the choir from the Ferguson Florissant School District high schools to represent. Number one, because I went to McClure. Number two, that was right after Ferguson, and I wanted to represent Ferguson and Florissant.
Mm-hmm.
And my high school didn't represent, but McClure North did, so I'll take that.
There you go.
And then part of my church was there too, and we had a ball. We had a ball. I just remember the night before, it was really cold and it was dark in that stadium, and nobody complained. So the Winter Classic, it was even colder. Nobody complained.
Yeah.
We had a great time.
It was extra special, that's for sure. I have a lot of great memories from that weekend myself. So, folks, we're going to record Charles' reactions to some of the players and people he's known along the way, and we're going to save that for our greatest hits episode a little bit later on. You'll hear that at some point, but he's got a great list of names for me to run through here, and we're going to do that and keep it for another podcast. But Charles, I asked this of all the legends that come on my podcast, and I don't know if you've thought about
Well,
this.
thank you for calling it a legend. Thank you very much.
You're absolutely that.
Thank you.
How would Charles Glenn like to be remembered someday if your name comes up in a conversation?
Well, for people who don't know me, I would like to be known as the singer for the blues, number one, because that's what people know me for. And I am very approachable. I am very approachable. People come up to me all the time and say, hey, listen, number one, we remember you singing at this game against Montreal, and I was there, and I was sitting right behind you. And number two, they'll say, or you sang at my wedding. And 8 out of 10, I'll remember both the games and the wedding. So I am approachable. It's part of the job. It's part of the job. It's a blessing. And I also want to be known as a child of God. You know, I'm very heavy in my faith, very heavy in my faith, and I don't think I would have gotten this without belief in God. So that's how I would like to be known.
Perfect. All right. Well said. So, anything you'd like to say before we wrap it up to blues fans who are listening in or viewing this podcast on YouTube?
Get ready for an exciting season. Get ready for an exciting season. I know we started slow this year. We started slow in 2019. Well, no, we started slow in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't start kicking until we turned 2019.
Right.
And that's when I retired on my birthday. I said, look, I'm done. Because my legs were bothering me. It really was. And Jason Pippy says, well, what if we make the playoffs? And I started laughing. I said, if we make the playoffs, I'm there. Or what if we get to the Stanley Cup? I said, we're in last place, brother. How are we going to get to the What if we do? I said, I'm there. So Jason Pippy had more faith than I did.
For those who don't know, Jason Pippy, he was he ran the show for the Blues back in those days. He's no longer with the organization, but Jason was in charge of all the game entertainment and putting on the show back in that Stanley Cup year. Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Did I ask you about how people can get in touch with you about booking an event or hiring you to do something?
No, I can give that to you. If you want to know where I'm performing, look up Charles Glenn Group on Facebook.
Okay.
Or if you want to see what I'm doing personally, it's the Charles Glenn on Instagram. Now, I do want to promote this. On the 13th of January, we're doing the Hall of Fame game. And the band is going to be on stage, and that's all I can say. I can't say anymore. But we're going to have a great time.
That's
January 13th.
The Hall of Fame event at the MAC?
No, the Hall of Fame game on January 13th.
Okay.
Where they're retiring the names.
So, Charles, thank you very much for sharing your time and your wonderful talent with us here on this podcast. And like I said,
thank you.
Thank
you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for calling me a legend.
That's easy to do. Easy to do. You have definitely put in the time and effort and your talent to warrant that label for sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thanks for being with me for another episode of the St. Louis Blues Hockey Legends Podcast. We'll have another legend coming up soon, so stay tuned to our social media for news on who that legend might be. Visit PAGuyTom.com or BluesHockeyLegends.com and sign up for our Legends email notifications. The Legends Podcast is also available on the Scoops Sports Network at scoopswithdannymac.com. Video of the podcast is published the Monday after the Friday release of the audio. As always, please like and share on Facebook, X, and Instagram, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It all keeps the Legends Podcast alive and well. Tom Calhoun here saying thanks for being a fan, and let's go Blues!